Hello, everybody. We are going to get started here momentarily. Say hi in the chat. I will attempt to pronunciate your name. So we've got Raptor X. Hello, Push Pop 2002. Hello, Easy. Yasser. How is it going? So we will get started momentarily. Like I said, just to let some people filter through. And we are going to be doing a live UI UX stream. And this time, unlike most other times, I'm going to have an emphasis on actually trying to refactor your designs. So this means I won't probably be able to get through quite as many. But for those that I do get through, you'll see some actionable tips instead of just me talking. So hello, Andrea. Accessible Bits, hello. Hello, person here. I don't know that name. J4FL. Norman, hello. Skender, I got that. Hello. All right. So maybe not too much of a lively stream. We're on a Sunday, so most people are off doing their own thing. So let us get out of here and let me get into Discord. Now, I will tell you right now, for those of you who want to submit your designs, I mean, look at all these designs that have been submitted already in the past 3 hours. So this is going to fill up my queue, and I probably won't even be able to get through most of these, honestly. So before we get started, which we're going to get started in just a second, I do want to promote my course because I have to feed my family. And if you're interested in UI, UX, or learning CSS interactively, check out designcourse.com. You can learn a lot more about each of these courses. Like the UI, UX course is over 18 hours worth of video. There's also interactive user interface design tests that will help you hone in your design fundamental skills. You can actually try it out here by clicking play now. And then there's also an optional subscription add-on called Mentor, where I take a look at your designs that you create throughout the course, because there's 12 different challenges, and I will give you feedback and I will revise them in many cases if they need to be, and I'll give you a rating. So it's a great way to level up and just become a great UI UX designer. It's geared towards, I would say, beginners for sure, but then we work our way throughout the course to intermediate and some advanced stuff. So great for everybody. And let's just go ahead and get started with the very first one. Now, I do have an exclusive Discord server that has a negative space submissions channel. These are for people who paid for my courses. We're going to start with them because I like people who pay me just a tad bit more than just the people who don't pay me. So we're gonna start with them first, and I will switch back after the first one and try to make this as fair as possible. So unfortunately, the stream's a bit blocky, or is it just me? Yeah, unfortunately, it's completely out of my control. So hopefully, it's not too bad. And maybe what I'll do is I'll record it locally on my end, and I'll upload a high-res version afterwards. Okay. So let's see here. Hey, hello, Gary. Let me zoom up. This is my submission for today's event. I work as a web designer and copyright freelance, and this is my new website. Let's check it out. Storypress.it. By the way, I may not revise anything if I don't think there's going to be significant enough difference. All right, so we have some animated type effects occurring here. We never write articles. We never design pages. All right, so it's a little bit slow to expect people to sit here for this extended a period of time. Maybe you could just keep we never permanent and then just change the rest of the words a little bit quicker and let them sit a little bit longer so people can read them. There is quite a bit of white space here on, a 4K res, but it's not too bad. Let's scroll down. All right, so we have a large watermark there. So the alignment here, I'm not too excited about, because if we notice here, we have a column that's established right here. And then this is inset. And that just kind of breaks the flow of the layout a little bit. So if I were you, I would kind of get this extended out all the way and also probably remove this white border as well. Okay, so there's nothing like single-handedly I want to jump out and fix right away. So I'm probably not going to revise this particular entry, but hopefully the comments are a little bit helpful for you. Let's switch back to the public server, and I'll go to the first one up here. Okay, so people are telling me the video quality is not good. I am recording locally, so I am going to upload a video that's going to be unlisted with the high quality version. And with that said, I will link that on my Twitter account. So make sure to follow me, by the way, if you go to twitter.com. DesignCourseCom is my tag right here. So I'm going to paste this in the chat. And that way, let me just show this. That way you can all follow me. And then after the course, this live stream ends, I will upload the video and link it probably like an hour or two after. That way it fully processes because it'll be a longer video. So make sure to follow me. All right. I apologize for the issues. Okay. All right. So taking a look at this one. All right. So we do have active states up here. We got there and there. All right. Oh, let me hide this real quickly. There we go. All right, here's one situation when it comes to layout and alignment that I try to avoid as much as possible. You have like a headline, and then we have a 2-column approach underneath it. I think this section could be laid out and aligned a little bit better. In terms of what I would do personally, I'm not sure if I would necessarily want to stick with a circular icon here, or avatar, I would say. I would probably try to get this, the headline, and this and these elements all aligned on the same column, and then perhaps put that on the left, and on the right, have like a full image of yourself over there. Let me translate this to English because I cannot read any of this. Just trying to see if there's something that sticks out that I want to try to refactor. Like this right here, all your other pages really fill out the left and right column, but then we have this, it's kind of stuck there in the middle. So I would personally prefer you to utilize your space a little bit more here on desktop, at least. You could take this information, maybe left align it in a column, and then on the right column, you could put the form right here. All right, let's continue on. Let's go back to the other server. Here is the design of my website. I'm starting as a web designer. Don't worry, very shortly I will pick one of these to start redesigning. All right, so it's a little bit easier when I'm dealing with a Figma prototype to make quick revisions. All right, so I would say we definitely want to work on this hero section. This logo as well. I used to be an identity designer. I still am. Once you're an identity designer, you always want. I still design logos from time to time. I would probably rework this because it's just when you come down to scale, like you don't have enough white space between like this element and this element. So I'd refactor that. I would probably take this because we have an imbalance. We have a left column, but then a right column, there's nothing. So I would take these elements and push them over to the right. Let me go ahead and copy this real quickly. I started a FigJam file. There we go. And just paste it. And that way we can do a little bit of a quick refactor of the hero section at least. So again, like I would take these elements and maybe well, let's see here. Let's move this over here. So we'll say there's a column here and a column here. All right. So I would probably scale this down. I don't know what web design urban means, but then again, you're dealing with a different, this looks like German, I think. I don't know. I might want to take something like this and again, I'm just experimenting here. I'm not saying what I'm doing would be the best thing that you could ever do, but again, that's just a part of the process of experimenting a little bit. This is more of like a traditional old school approach when it comes to like a hero section. You saw the sort of thing around 2013 to like 2017, 2018. I'm not sure what this section is because it just looks like this isn't even a call to action, even though it's kind of wrapped in an overlay. Typically, you'd want uh, what do you call a call to action, like a button of some sort right here in this area. So again, I would kind of open that up. I also don't like the idea of italicizing multiple words. I think it's only meant for like a single word typically, or maybe like a testimonial quote or something like that. So I would just, stick to making that regular. Get these elements. These should ideally properly be an auto layout and all that good stuff. I'm just gonna group them for a second, and there we go. Now it's centered there. So notice how much cleaner it is just, sticking with this sort of aesthetic. And again, it's not like the greatest thing ever, but it's just a real quick refactor. And I would take probably like a button, maybe have a two, what do you call? I would say, let's get this right here. We can get your type. I would say something like hire me now. I don't like this extended letter spacing on here either. And let's see, let's remove that extended tracking right there. There we go. All right, hire me now. Make it a little bit larger. Actually, we'll keep it there and make it bold. Slight rounded corners. Take both of these and auto layout in the center. Have a secondary call to action, except we're going to emphasize one over the other. Some people just use exact same aesthetic for a primary and secondary call to action. You don't want to do that. We could just hide that, and then we can give it like a, typical pattern for this sort of thing would be to give it a stroke, make it white perhaps. And this could be, something like I work or something like that. All right, much more simplified compared to what's happening here. And this doesn't need to be quite as tall, so I would probably push this up. And again, this is, like I said, a more old school approach, but I didn't want to, veer too far away from what he has going on right here. And then additionally, I would say that's a little bit too close, so we could probably move this up. I'm not going to spend too much longer on this, but just to give you a little bit of an idea of restructuring things just a bit. And again, you want to make sure things are kind of tidied up as much as possible in terms of height. And you can also do other cool, other things a little bit differently. I may want to experiment with this color now that I changed this color up here. We could go lighter. We could go lighter. Again, just kind of trying to work as fast as possible here. And you could do things like this, like take like another rectangle and let's see here. I'm just experimenting. It may look like crap. I don't know. Take this above. Where is this element? There we go. Sometimes to give yourself an interesting aesthetic, you can kind of overlap or underlap, if you will, low contrast background elements. So like we could do something like this. You could possibly colorize it, although we're working with a gray background. So let's just get this color here and perhaps make it like this, and then make this background. Let's just remove that. I don't like that. Let's desaturate that more, make it a little bit darker. You could just do interesting things like this to make the layout a little bit more just interesting. So this compared here to that, just a quick refactor. All right, let's continue on. I'm going to go back to the public server. And let's see here. We had a ton. Let's come back up. Let me check the chat, make sure I'm still live. All right. Well, I'm not going to screw around adding auto layout. It takes time to do that. I'm trying to be as fast as possible to get people to, to get through submissions. All right. All right, there's a lot happening here. I would definitely like to see a lot more white space between these two sections. You could push that down probably about 2 to 3 times the amount that it's currently at, because it's getting a little bit too close to this navigation right there. I actually like this section overall. Now, if I get out my dev console and we take a look at this, I'm going to add a margin top. Right, not that much, like 1.8 M. That's better in my opinion right there. Now this illustration, I would push that over a little bit more. So this is position absolute, so I have to use left. Okay, yeah, so something like 3 M units, maybe even 4, just to push that over and give this area a little bit more room to breathe. And then of course push this background down slightly more. All right, pretty decent section here. A little bit too close. You want a little bit more white space. Oopsie, I clicked on something by accident. Yeah, you want a little bit more white space right here between these two elements, the picture and the type. Ooh, so that kind of hurts my eyes a little bit, the whole yellow background, especially when you look at the icons right here. So I would definitely change this up. And again, your actual text field, your form elements are designed well in and of themselves, but I would not use this vibrant yellow background. I would probably, you could make this background like the same as this light blue, and then make this form container white with black text inside. And then use just, you still use the color element, but when you put color, like multiple colors on top of a vibrant color background, it just makes it look messy. And you have contrast issues as well, especially with Twitter. It's just not very easy to see. So think about that. Let's continue on. Next up is going to be, let's see here. Let me go back to the exclusive server. Hi, Gary. This is the design of my application. It's an application like Dropbox to share files in a secure way, and it's oriented to companies. I would like to know if the UI UX is okay and what I can improve. So we have a Figma prototype. Let's check her out. I've never seen any of these. Oh, no. The dreaded requesting access file. You may have hurt yourself because I may forget to look back and check if you gave me access. You have to give me access to this. I'm going to check out the next one. Hi, Gary. This is a prototype of the personal portfolio I'm building. Still a big work in progress, but the desktop version already has some basic prototyping. All right, so let's check her out. All right. Yeah, we can rework something up here real quick. I noticed just a little bit of lack of visual hierarchy in a certain area. Let's get this duplicated. So right here, if I zoom up and kind of just outline this whole area, this type, we have the headline right here. We have the sub headline. We have a breadcrumb or kind of like a just, a back button right here. And then this type. I would say we need to kind of better define, and it's kind of the go to home that's kind of screwing things up. So here's what I would do personally. I would take go to home and put it at the top. We're going to take this element here, these 3, push them down. Push these right here. All about trying to getting an eye for getting the spacing correct. There we go. We could also take this selection color, maybe use this blue, but maybe make it a little bit lighter. There we go. Something like that. Because color also is a factor in establishing visual hierarchy. Go to home isn't that important at all. So you can kind of decrease the contrast by colorizing the type. And that way the ultimate focus is on the headline, which you have large, which is good. The sub headline, I'm not sure if I like gray there. Let's see if we can take a look at adding maybe a dark desaturated, or not a dark, but maybe a lighter desaturated. That may end up being too much color, actually. So you could just do this. Yeah, kind of what you had was working. I made it a little bit darker. And there we go. Now, another thing to consider is when you're working with type, kind of like a blog post like this, you sort of you want to avoid having too long of lines of text. I've done a video about this on the YouTube channel about the ideal amount of characters slash words per line. And it's actually something more like, unfortunately, I don't have this font, so I'm just going to go ahead and replace this particular one with enter. And this is more of like the maximum length or so that you would want to have for type for like a blog post. It's just difficult for people to scan, from on a desktop layout, all this type. So you'd probably want to bring things in. You could probably go slightly larger, but I wouldn't go much larger. And again, like I said, just bring things in a little bit more for something like a blog post. All right. So I think that's a quick refactor there. Let's continue on. I'm not able to check out all your designs just because we have so many people waiting. All right, we're going to switch back to the public server. Let's go back here. All right. I think I looked at this one. I want to make sure I did. Okay, let's check this one. Now, let me read the comment first. My personal concise portfolio, perhaps any ideas what can be added or improved? Thanks a lot in advance. P.S. I sent it before, but your connection was down. I couldn't find the recording. Okay, sorry about that. That was happening for a while. All right, personal concise portfolio. Let's check her out. All right. So it's actually a pretty decent photo. You've cut yourself out in the background. You have a background texture with this this circle here, which is cool. Let's see here. Kind of have a lot happening here. I would say this is pretty thin. So I would extend this out a little bit more here on, a larger resolution like I'm working on. And I think that would be a little bit more ideal. I would possibly make these white, maybe. That way your two CTA buttons kind of stand out on their own. I would say that your two call to action buttons, even though you style them differently, I'm not sure which one I want to click on. So because one isn't being emphasized entirely over the other, even though they're styled differently. So I would think about that. In terms of what's most important upon being hired, if either a client or an employer, I would say they want to see their projects first. So I would probably make this one the one that's kind of like has the whole outline compared to the contact button. I like the subtle micro interactions. Not enough people add those sort of things, and it's definitely something that you want to do. You could probably add more white space above working with Mern here, and also down here through padding on this container. So I'll make a quick adjustment just to show you. It ends up you have padding 2 rem. So let's try doing something like 6 rem. And that was top. So pro tip, if I zoom up here, I'm not sure if you can all see this. We can just get rid of these, and I'll just put in padding 6 rem 0. There we go. That way you can achieve it in one CSS property. Now it has a lot more white space, and it's just easier to digest visually speaking when you have more white space. Now you do have some issues here in terms of your alignment. So if I zoom up and I draw some columns, if I come straight down here, here's a column, but wait, this is inset. This isn't on the same column. So you have another column established right here. You have a column established here, and look at all these lines that are being created. It's not ideal when it comes to just making it easy to digest and read your type. So, I would definitely take this stock live app and push it right here on this column. And then that way you have 3 elements right here. And then this right here, you could push this right there, starting on the same column. Take a look is also seeming like you right aligned it. I would probably left aligned it. Starting right here under MongoDB on this column. And it's going to make everything just a lot more better aligned. I would also get rid of these drop shadows, because color on like this blue color on this, it's almost a gray. I think there's a little bit of blue in there. It's just not quite ideal, especially over here with this yellow on this desaturated blue. So I would get rid of those. You can have a stroke, make it 100% solid, no blur at all, but use this background color so that you create separation between these the two screens that are overlapping each other. I do like the color that you're using, though, for these card backgrounds. Very subtle based on the background. I like that. That works well. So for these live websites, I'm not going to bother trying to do a design refactor because they're not in Figma. So next time I find a Figma one, we'll check her out. This section here is pretty solid, but is it a floating label? No, it's not. So you want to make sure that this is a floating label, which means you get rid of the placeholder value attribute and you implement a proper floating label where it can still look like this, exactly like your email for reply, but when you click on it or you focus in it, it kind of shifts up and moves to the top so that you never lose focus or you never lose the label, or so to speak. All right. And then the send now button, I would left align that or right align it, not center it. And it's not even, yeah, it is centered properly, it looks like. But so I would either right align it or left align it, probably right align it. All right. What's happening here? I think I'm zoomed up or something. Uh-oh. Exit. There. What is happening? Uh-oh. I think I have to see this. What is happening? I think I have an issue with my zooming tool, like a keyboard shortcut. That I have to go to Task Manager. Uh-oh, my... Sorry about this. I have an issue with my screen recorder. I have to find it. It's called Light Shot. Take it out. This is not good. What is happening? Oh no, I'm starting to sweat bullets here. It's not closing my Light Shot because this is part of my Light Shot Zoom, and it is literally not working. And I cannot get out. Hold with me. I've done many streams. I'm not going to buckle under pressure here. I can't believe it's still running even though I canceled it. Wow. I'm not hacked. It's just an issue with the computer. And I literally can't get to like my taskbar because it's All right, who wants to help me in the chat? This is getting frustrating. Yeah, I think it's the light shot that's like not allowing me to get out of here. I use something called vmix, but this isn't a I don't this is not a vmix issue. Um hmm. This is so strange. Come on, Gary, figure it out. Come on. Ah, what else could it be? I'm trying to figure out what the issue here is. It's maybe if I try to rerun light shot from the run menu, light shot. This is so stupid. So get rid of the browsers. All right, so let's try that. Because I can't even background processes. Yeah, that's there. Let's get rid of this. Let's try to get rid of Google. All right, do you see me now? Because this is kind of messed up. Do you see me? All right, so I think I need to redo my. Hold on, I'm gonna be back. 1 second. I have to fix something. General change input. 1 second. Okay, I think we're back. All right, sorry about that, everybody. That was very lame. Oh boy, yeah, not cool at all, huh? Well, temporary setback, a few minutes. Unbelievable. Okay, let us just continue. I completely forget where the hell I was. I'm not using that Zoom tool again, I'll tell you that much. Yeah. So let's continue on. Feedback's appreciated. I think it's a custom WordPress theme. All right, let's just try this one. I don't think we did that one. All right. All righty. Let me get back my StreamYard thing here. All right. Your C drive is filled up with trash. I know. That's what happens after having a computer for only 4 months, with me at least. All right. So this one, I actually like. It's a kind of like an elegant design. I would definitely make top sourcing agent darker. It's barely noticeable. So if I hit F12, oops, and we grab this, I'm not sure. Oh, there's the color. I would make this darker. And of course, it's not working. There we go. There we go. So that's much better. Now we can actually see this type much better. I do like the that's a nice little interaction. Yeah, I like the primary and secondary call to action. Very solid. After this one, I'm only going to take a look at Figma prototypes so that I can do the whole refactor thing. But this is actually a really solid design from what I see. Oops, there we go. So let's check out this one. This is a Figma prototype. John Wick. There we go. Sort of an interesting parallax effect. Clearly, you have two different images here that are kind of creating like a rotating effect. Let me go to File here, File View. Yeah, overall, this is actually pretty solid. I don't really have many changes. I would take premiering and then these 4 columns moving down slightly. Notice how much white space you have beneath it compared to on top of it. So just center that up between that whole space. But yeah, this is actually pretty solid. Probably a lot more white space than what you need right here, especially because up here you didn't have that much white space. So consistently applying white space is important. But yeah, this is actually pretty solid. No changes there. Let's go to Smith Nantha restaurant website. Another Figma prototype. That'll work. All right. Let's just go to File View. I don't like Prototype View. This looks like a large file. This is why it's taking a little bit of time. Boy, what did you put in? Oh my God, there's a million pages. That's why it's taking forever. Okay, well, let's just choose one here. All right, so I'm definitely going to make a change here real quick in a different file. I think we need to change that font. Your Figma file is actually making my computer extremely slow, and I have like the best NVIDIA card and like the best specs practically that you can get because I just built this thing. All right, so let's move this over. We have lag all over the place. I'm not a fan of this font at all. Like, so what's this font up here? This is Railway. So you can use Railway for sure. It's going to make this look so much better. So already out of the bat, out of the gates rather, this is a better font. It matches the rest of what you have going on here. I would advise them to try to get a different logo or at least it's just, I know it's difficult sometimes, but the type is so tiny in it that you can't barely even see it. And unfortunately, my computer is just, your design file is killing my computer. Must be really like large graphics in here or something like that. Kind of out of alignment here. We have some issues. So if I go to Railway right here, scale these down, you don't want this to be roughly the same size of your headline up here, then you lack that typographic visual hierarchy. So, if we try something like 42 and it's left aligned, but you have spaces here, that hurts alignment big time. So then there's nothing over here. Oh, well, that's because it wasn't quite as large. So what we could do is, and I don't know what's going on. Do you have like a bunch of spaces here? The better way to do this is, look at this. We got to get rid of that. Oh, geez. I got to get rid of this too. You just want to rely on sizing the text container And then look, I mean, you can, yeah, that's a much better approach. Looks like there's another space there. Okay. Where was that under? Freshest. Okay. So I would add a little bit more leading or line height here. Take this under freshest. I'm just going to experiment with something here. Ungroup those. Oops. Ungroup this. We need more room. I'm only going to work on this top portion, then I'll get to some other ones. You know what I like doing too is I like making this here. Let's move this over. I want more white space on the left. Okay, and then we'll take this, get this centered. I don't know what this is. Oh, the type is way too tiny. Make reservations. So it's like another reservation button, but it's just not obvious enough. So I would redo this so that your type is larger, so it's more obvious, and maybe not do the whole circular thing. It's just going to be difficult for people to understand what the significance or the relevance of that part is. And then, we could take this section. It's a different section. And we could do something and give it texture, as I call it, in the background to make it more interesting. For instance, one way to do it is with like a typographic watermark in the background. So if I take the type tool and I'll say, I don't know, something like fresh or something. And we could use this font actually. So we could do something like fresh. And then we'll put it in the background and make it large. Let's see here. We could either colorize it slightly or make it completely gray. We could do something like this, possibly. And we could put maybe like a rectangle right here to help frame that section and give it a little bit of like a layout structure. And just kind of playing around with ideas. Graphic design is sort of part of the process when it comes to layout design. We could do something like this as well under here to separate these sections out a little bit more. We could take a rectangle, maybe use this color, situate it in the back, get this moved up, make it white, make the text, well, let's see if we use this color. Oh, that's too much. We'll go with the muted color, possibly. I may adjust the color slightly. This could be white. Oh, that would have to stay black. Or we'll make it black, rather. Again, I would probably change this up. And then move this here. Again, I'm not sure if I really like this color right here, but it's something, So we have a pretty clear distinction between this version right here, where we have kind of just a lack of alignment and such, and then compared to this, what we have going on here. So there's a refactor there. Let's continue on. This is from The Godly Cat. We have something interesting. Ooh, oh yeah. Maybe let's see if something was used here. Yep, GSAP. So the GreenSock animation platform is used to achieve this. Let's click it. Okay. I like it. I would probably want to definitely utilize probably responsive type so that this tiny type right here is much larger. And of course, also that would give you the byproduct probably of making this so that you don't have all this really long lines of type with a million words. Like you said, though, I don't think it was fully responsive. But yeah, this is a cool approach. I mean, I'm not sure if I'd only stick with just this. You know, I would have some sort of type here or something. But I like where you're going with this as a starting point. Very cool. All right. Next up, been trying to submit this for a couple times now. Didn't get to see a review due to connection cutoffs. All right. All right. So I see potential here. So this is definitely what I would call responsive type. Probably using something like clamp, possibly. Although maybe not. Could just be viewport width. All right. I think the alignment could be better because there's a lot of things that are kind of going in and out. Like I would take like this right here, HTML. This is all centered type, but it feels like there's a column right going right here. There is a column essentially, and I would probably just left it aligned along that column instead of centering this type. So your HTML, SAS, and Django would be all along the same column right here. Now, I would personally make this section, these cards on this gray, light gray container, instead of making them darker, I would make them whiter. So again, I'm not sure which selector it might be. Let's try a background white on this. Okay, there we go. Of course, we have these little corner things right there that we'd have to fix. But I think I would use white and make this background right here, whatever this might even be the page background. Let me go to body. Yeah, I would make it slightly lighter. Like that is DE, DE, DE. And again, I probably would even go lighter than that. Here, let me experiment with that real quick. We'll take this. Oh, it's because this is wrapped in a border, it looks like, each one of these. Is there a border? Yeah, you got strokes and borders all over the place, unfortunately. But yeah, no problem. Continuing on. I would not leave this cursor, this circular element the whole time, especially when people are trying to focus in on text fields. So change it to the regular mouse type when you do that. So I think there's definitely, yeah, promise here. I think you just have to work a little bit more on alignment. All right, next up. So this is going to kill a lot of people. They're not going to like it, but I'm going to skip some and I'm just going to go straight to a Figma file so that I can actually do some redesigns here. All right. Open.net. Meet the future, introducing first fully AI-driven car. Call to action. All right. So that's not too bad. I'm going to take this real quick and do a quick change. Change the background here. So the thing I don't like is that we have two containers next to each other, and they're different colored. They're differently colored, but they're not differently colored enough. They're actually really similar, but not. And you kind of want to avoid that sort of thing when you're working with. Happened there too. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, when you're working with containers that are kind of close proximity to each other. So we would want to change these up somehow, either or. So like, why is that 50%? Oh, okay. So now they're not the same. So if I make them the same background color, all right, it's at least a little bit more consistent now. and that is misspelled. That's a typo. I can't fix it because I don't have the font, but I would probably change something about this. How would I change this? We could hide this. Could experiment with a different fill. Give it the same background color maybe, and then add a stroke. Maybe this color right here. I'm probably not going to like that at all. Let me change this to inner. Yeah. All right. I would make this smaller, like 14 from 18. I don't like that whole stroke thing that I did. Let's try giving it a fill, possibly. We could do this. See about giving it a well, they put a background blur, but it's let's try. It's a 500 blur. That's why it's so it wasn't working properly. Yeah, you could do something like that. That way these are quite a bit different from each other instead of them kind of being near each other. So it's just quick. Well, that wasn't that quick, but just a quick refactor there. All right, simple enough though. Everything else looks pretty solid. Next up is going to be well, it's a Framer project. I can't really redesign in Framer, but I'll check it out anyhow. I'm going to be doing a Framer course, by the way, along with Webflow and ProtoPie sometime in the future. So probably a little bit too busy, honestly. You have a bunch of colors here in the background, along with this little blip, along with this little blip. These look like these are buttons that are kind of competing for eye space with your primary, actual actionable button. So I'd probably get rid of these, or definitely the stop generating button because it's kind of too hard to see. So definitely think about that. I would probably get rid of this one too. And again, you have a lot of things happening here that are a little bit confusing because you're showing UI elements. I would probably have a little bit more of a fade down here because it kind of just ends, but kind of doesn't. So think about that. Maybe use a different color or just keep it filled blue by default. It's a little bit messy otherwise. All right, pretty solid. Let's continue on. I'm going to go look for the next Figma prototype. Let me see. I think I saw this one already. I just want to make sure I'm not skipping people. Oh, that was the Figma prototype. Okay, that's fine. Capped KED, channel regular. All right. This does not look to be kind of like a web design, I'll be honest. This looks like more like a graphic design. So yeah, it's a poster. So yeah. Okay, maybe you wanted me to look at something else. What would you say here? Some football. Oh, okay. Some more graphic design stuff. I should have read that comment. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of honestly not too interested in critiquing graphic design. That's not my wheelhouse in terms of at least teaching and stuff. Again, I'm just looking at Figma prototypes so that I can do actual design work. So I'm sorry for skipping some people. All right. So it's kind of gets messy over here because there's no white space between your thumbnails. So I would want to rethink that. Some of the type looks like it could be improved as well. So if I push this over here, let me push some stuff down. Looks like you're utilizing a little bit too many colors as well in your sections. So let's pull stuff down here to give ourselves some room using layout and such as you should. Let's take this, ungroup it. Let's increase that line height, make it a little bit more readable. Same thing with here. You want to increase that as well. All right. And then now notice how this is kind of hanging off. So if I hit our rulers and get out a guide, yeah, you can see how kind of it's floating off to the right. I mean, you could do that, but I would probably situate it all the way off like that. So notice how, if we look at this type, how kind of condensed it is, not much white space. This is definitely a little bit more easier to read. And again, I might want to use light for that instead of bold. Same thing, with this section as well. You could probably make each one of these cards a little bit wider because you have quite a bit of white space between them. So think about that. Again, I wouldn't bold these. You have better typographic hierarchy if you just make those a lighter font weight. And then this down here, yeah, it's pretty solid. One thing I would say is, let's see, yeah, okay. One thing I would avoid, I talked about this earlier, is this right here, gray type on a colored background is pretty much like a universal no, don't do it. So what you do instead is you grab the background color that it's on, and we just make it lighter like that. There you go. All right. All right, cool. Let us continue. All right. Was that the one I just did? I'm always losing my spot. Yep, there we go. Longtime fan. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see a Figma prototype. Oh, wait, there's Figma. All right, so longtime fan, started your design course a little under a year ago and used what I learned there as well for some creative programming to create my portfolio website. I've been trying to work on my design skills quite a bit over the past few years, but I have lots of room for improvement. Here's the latest build of my portfolio. And there is a Figma prototype. Let's check that out. We got a lot. I think it's waiting to load. Yes, it is. So you definitely want to section off your elements a little bit more. I don't see a nav at all. So I'm not sure if that's intentional to leave off a nav, but I would definitely make sure to include a nav element, like a nav bar. Not sure if that was the intention or not. So I take this over here. So you have issues with, okay, so like, let's move this up over here. We're going to move this right here. So now look at this. So we already have a lot better alignment, more white space. This is kind of center aligned here a little bit better. And then again, I could just take this stuff right here and dang it. Let me just replace these. There we go. And there, that's your logo. We'll go ahead and change this to like, let's try like 28. Give yourself a nice little nav. We'll make this one regular. Get rid of the extended letter spacing. My work. And I'll make these a little bit smaller. Okay. Now, this graphic right here, I would probably ditch. Just because it doesn't have great contrast, especially with the background that you're currently using. I actually like the background color. It's almost black, but not quite. But I probably am not going to be able to find a good background color for this section. And it looks like there's something else happening here. There must be a section that is not tied. Trying to find where this section is. That's kind of strange, but oh, yeah, that's kind of strange. It's not changing. Let's move this off and then try to change the damn background. Oh, there we go. So this was something strange was happening there. Maybe it was a blend mode. No, it wasn't. That's kind of weird. Oh, it's because it's not. I was making the assumption that this is a transparent graphic, but it was not. Okay. Well, we're stuck with that color then. Again, just move it down here. Yeah. But as is, this is a better alignment in that section anyhow. Now this, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know about this sort of effect that you created there. Having said that, alignment is an issue though. If I ungroup this, you want to make sure we're on the same column right there. That's established by this element, which I think you were anyways, but I moved it over, so never mind that. What is this? That is confusing me. Oh, wait. So it must be sign language. Okay. I'll be honest, that is kind of confusing. And it's really quite large. So if you're doing this for accessibility purposes or something like that, I would probably make it just smaller because it's really consuming quite a bit of what you have occurring here. And we could probably... Okay, so I can't select all these and simply move them up, but there's too much white space in the middle, so the height of this should be smaller. Alrighty, yeah, I've never seen that little sign language type thing happening there before. All right, let's continue on. I'm just looking at Figma prototypes at the moment. Let me check Twitter after this. Okay, I like this one. The only reason I'm getting this new document is because it's like a white background and you had a white canvas color. So it was hard for me to see the sides of the design. UX case study on Tumblr. I like the tag approach here. That's solid. Yeah, the structure of this is very solid. You could probably make this a little bit more line height there. We had real nice structure here in this section, but then we kind of just revert to a mobile approach here where things are just centered. So it feels like you had good structure here for desktop, but then we have this here in the center, which we could probably present this information that would better utilize the available space. And again, more line height overall. It's going to be better or easier for people to read. And again, like this could be a 2-column approach right here. So if I ungroup this and grab this, what I would do, bring this in. Notice how a lot more white space, it's going to look better. So then I'll just duplicate this. Maybe make this bold. So just simple stuff like that. We have like empty white space here and then empty white space here. So again, we're lacking alignment in some of these areas. But yeah, overall pretty solid. There's just a few areas that I think could be improved, and definitely want to increase your line height in some of these areas as well. All right. Let me check Twitter real quickly because people were able to submit there. All righty. I think somebody, a few people tagged me. Yep. So unfortunately, it's neither of them are Figma prototypes. I'll take a look at them. Definitely want to utilize your space better here. Ambient focus, and that could be much larger for on desktop at least. So always consider the largest desktop resolutions, which I'm currently using. And also don't use pixels for your font size. You want these to be relative units. So something like 8 rem. I mean, that looks so much better already because it fills out this big, huge void that you've had here in the middle. I would also completely change the fonts here. So it looks like Times New Roman. It's not ideal. So I would rethink that a little bit, but there's really not enough. Oh, okay, there's some stuff down here. And again, you're lacking what's called typographic visual hierarchy right here. Even though this is slightly larger, it's not larger enough. It's not different enough from the type underneath it. So to show you real quickly how to fix that, we can make these elements bold, font weight, bold. And again, I would use a different font. What font is that anyhow? It is Castro. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. So I would also make them a little bit larger. So 2.2 rem. All right. And then I can grab this type right here. Font family. And then make it smaller. And then add more line height. So like 1.5 rem. And honestly, I would change these titles too. Font family. Can't go wrong with Poppins. So this looks a lot better already. And we have issues though. There's too much white space between them. This little cell phone graphic needs to be a lot larger to accommodate the height of this text. So yeah, it's definitely things that you need to improve. But that was before the original version. All righty. All right, we're gonna do one more, and I'm just gonna find the next Figma prototype right here. I don't like to go in prototype mode. Definitely can improve this though. There's just too much happening. So let's address this real quick. So the first thing I would completely just get rid of that. That's going to help tremendously. This is probably too large. So I would take this down to like 64 from 80. I'm going to ungroup this stuff. This could probably go to 22. Get rid of the slight letter spacing. I don't know why a lot of people love adding letter spacing. And the only time letter spacing works is for like one word and for like taglines or something like that. Just more often than not, most popular fonts, they don't have issues with letter spacing. So I wouldn't adjust that. Get this kind of pushed in. All right. Now, these two buttons, again, like I talked about earlier, there's not enough of a difference between what is primary and what is secondary. So I would definitely rethink that a bit. And let me go over here so I can get rid of this. That'll simplify it a lot more. This I would put underneath these. I'm going to ungroup these, take both of them and give her a little bit of rounded. And then this one, we want this to be actually, what's strange to me is sign up today and then book a demo class. That sounds like the same thing, because when somebody's trying to sign up, you're probably trying to get them to book a demo class. So that's not design related. That's more of like your IA type stuff. But, you know, we want to make this more like a secondary call to action, because one of them has to be a secondary, you know, so something like that would work. And then this under here, these kind of blend in together too much. So what I would do is I would take each one of these and apply a stroke. All right. And the stroke will be the background color. No, there we go. The stroke will be a background color, and then we'll increase that. Look how much better that looks. Now you have separation of white space between them, and it's just a lot better overall. Still, though, I would probably add, you know, these are pretty large pieces of type, so maybe I'll go down to 20. And then take each one of them, add a little bit of height. You want to make sure your auto layout is in the center. Move this over. And what font is that? Playfair Display. Okay. All right. So I'm going to use this background color. I would go darker. All right, there we go. So we went from this here to this here. Get this up a little bit more. There we go. We'll make that light and create even more of a distinction between our type. Push this over. Give ourselves some more white space, by the way. Everything is in a darn it. Let's just get rid of that. Can I ungroup it? Nope, I can't. All right, so it's there we go. That way, I like to frame the designs a little bit better, just so we can, not everything's kind of squashed. All right, there we go. So we're going from this here to something much more simplified, easier to read all around, easier to use. Yeah, definitely. And I would probably scale these down as well to like 20. And again, just push them over, get more white space there. All right. Awesome. Yeah. So this is a longer stream than usual. Again, during this stream and a little while after, you can use code STREAM30 to get 30% off of the UI UX course, the CSS course, or pretty much anything, Mentor, as well as the new AI little generative course I did. I did this course right here about a week ago, and you can watch the video of what I did. And I did an 80-minute course showing you how I created this kind of really cool sort of film with that's AI generated. So it's just like 30 bucks, but yeah, the main takeaway here is if you're interested in getting better at UI UX, definitely check out the UI UX course. I just released a new AI chapter that shows you how to use current AI tools that you can implement into your UI UX workflow. And it's a project based one, and it's actually based on a real project for my wife's lactation consulting business. And I show you how I use AI to generate basically like user personas, journey maps, the IA, which is information architecture, and then Mid-Journey to generate actual assets. These women right here and this baby, they don't exist. This is all AI generated, and I show you how to do all that in the UI UX course. It's over 16, actually 18 hours of content, interactive UI tests. There's mentorship, which you can add on optionally, where I get to take a look at your designs that you create in Figma, and I revise them, provide you a rating, and give you comments. So definitely check that out and have fun. We'll do this again here in a week or two. Actually, not two, because I'm going to be going away on vacation with the family in 2 weeks. But yeah, we'll definitely do these again. And I apologize for that screw up earlier where I couldn't fix my screen, but not all was lost. I will talk to you all later. All righty. Oh, wait, Smowwitch, what's up? I didn't notice. Yeah. Anyhow, what is up, man? I didn't see you inside the chat. I wasn't checking the chat enough. Somebody asked, what is the next course I'm going to make? I'm actually focusing, I can show you real quickly. Where is it at? Designcourse.com. Let me go to my admin section. I'm creating a JavaScript fundamentals course, and it's going to be free. That's the cool thing. It's going to be multiple hours. There's already an hour here, but we're just in the beginning, and it's going to be project based. And the whole purpose of this JavaScript course is to get you ready in understanding JavaScript fundamentals so that you can then be prepared for the large course, project-based course, where you learn how to utilize GreenSock Animation Platform, otherwise known as the acronym GSAP, to create really highly interactive front ends. So going from the UI UX design, going to implementing highly interactive and animated web experiences, as they call them, kind of like the sites that you see on awards and all that stuff. So that's going to be the exciting thing. I've been working on this a lot, and I'm trying to make it, interactive as well. Like figuring out, like, let me show you our code editor. This code editor is, let me remove that. Is something that we've worked on quite a bit and allows you to basically, our goal, like for this one, figuring out how to do something as simple as changing the text, the inner text method here in the DOM with JavaScript. And so this little challenge system we set up, it's like, okay, it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work like we want it to. So you have to figure out, based on the instructions, all right, change the title to hover text on mouse over, and add a mouse out event that returns the title to the title text variable. So you kind of look at what's happening with the HTML, the CSS, and then figure out, what do we need to do down here in order to make this work? So we have an event listener added on title of a mouse over type. So then we could say something like, let's see, title dot inner text equals hover text. When you do that, guess what? It changed. We have the check mark Now we finally have to add a mouse out event that returns the title to the other one. So what we would then do down here is we would say, let's just copy that. Oh, and by the way, we have AI integrated as well. So if like you highlight text, you click explain this, it's going to give you momentarily, hopefully it worked. There it goes. It'll tell you exactly what's happening here with ChatGPT, which is kind of cool. So anyhow, take this. This is going to be mouse out. And then this is going to be, I think it's called title text. Yep. And then when we, oh no. Oh no. I think oh, there he goes. Yeah, there was a confetti animation, but it shows you how to do this. And, you take what you learn throughout the videos and you apply it and you get to work with it in this kind of like this editor that works. So anyhow, very exciting. I will see you all soon and goodbye.